If you could do only one thing to market your book, what should it be? In this video, I'm going to show you what it is and how to get started. Now, why should you listen to me? My name is Tim Grahl, and I have been a book marketing consultant for over 15 years. I've launched dozens of books to the top of the New York Times and Wall Street Journal bestseller list. I've had 5 clients on the New York Times bestseller list in the same week, and I've been doing this for a very long time. In that time, I've tried just about anything you could ethically or legally try to sell books, and I've found the things that work and, more importantly, the things that don't work. And just for a little bit more context, I ran a book launch last year and got paid $50,000 to run that launch. And so I'm an expert in this industry. I know what I'm talking about, and I'm going to share with you the one tool that matters when it comes to marketing your book. So what's the goal with book marketing? Well, selling books, obviously, but it's a little bigger than that because we don't want to just sell our current book. We want to sell any books we've already come out with and any future books as well. And so we need a way that we can create a long-term connection with readers where we can also get their attention and drive action. So we have this long-term connection that grows over time, more and more people. And then when we have a book coming out, we can say, hey, check it out. You should go buy the book. And then they actually go buy the book. And so what's the tool that does that? Now, for most people, the first thing that comes to mind is social media. And for me, I don't care about any of these platforms. I don't care about any of these tools. All I care about is selling books. And so I just go to the data, what works and what doesn't. And so I've got the data right here. And we're going to go over it together so that you actually understand what is the best tool for your book marketing. We're going to start with Instagram. Overall engagement rate on Instagram is 0.43% to 1.22%. Now, these are for your followers on Instagram, that if you post something, how likely are they to actually engage with that content? We're talking somewhere between 0.5% and a little over 1%. That means for most of you, less than one person out of 100 that are following you on Instagram are going to engage with any of your posts. Now, keep in mind here, engagement isn't clicking a link because you can't put a link in the description of an Instagram post. You can only put it in your profile, and it doesn't mean that they actually buy your book. This is just something like leaving a comment, liking the post, and so on. And so that's Instagram, somewhere between like 0.5% and a little over 1%. Now, let's look at TikTok. TikTok has one of the better engagement rates overall across the platform. You're looking at about 2.5% engagement rate. So if somebody's following you on TikTok, one of your followers has about a 2.5% engagement rate of 100, right? So out of 100 people, 2 to 3 people are going to engage with one of your posts. So let's take a look at Facebook. Facebook has one of the worst. They're sitting at 0.15%. All right, think about that, 0.15%. That means 1 to 2 people out of 1,000 people following you or friending you on Facebook are ever going to engage with any of your content. And again, remember, on both TikTok and Facebook, engagement doesn't mean necessarily clicking. It's usually liking, leaving a comment, that sort of thing. And that really bad engagement rate of 0.15%, that's the same on X as well. X, the one that used to be Twitter. If you post something, you get about 0.15% chance of one of your followers actually engaging with it. Again, that's 1 to 2 people out of 1,000 of your followers. Now, the best one really is LinkedIn. Now, for most of you watching this, LinkedIn's probably not a good fit for you because you're not writing a business or self-help book. But if you are, their engagement rate is about 3.16%. So about 3 out of 100 of your followers on LinkedIn is actually going to engage with something that you post on LinkedIn. So think about that. Social media across the board, we're looking at engagement rate somewhere between 0.15% and 3% engagement rate for people that are following you. This isn't just random people on the platform. It's people that have followed you, subscribed to you, that sort of thing. And remember, that engagement doesn't mean they're clicking on anything or really doing anything. So now let's look at another tool. Let's go to that old standby, an email list. Okay, so let's look at an email list. So if we look overall average, open rates of email lists are somewhere between 30 and 40%. So if somebody subscribes to your email list, there's a 30 to 40% chance that they're going to open it. That means if you have 100 subscribers, you're probably going to get 30 to 40 of those people to actually open that email, which means engaging with the email. So then the click-through rate for email, that thing where you actually put a link and they click on it and actually do something you ask them to do, that's sitting at around 2.5%. And so the click-through rate, actually clicking on a link and doing something like buying your book, is so much more likely on an email list. Okay, so now let's just look at these stats. Like, you're looking at engagement rates of an email list of 30 to 40%. And then the absolute best social media platform, which is LinkedIn, is looking at just a tad over 3%. So which of these do you think you should be using? And now also keep this in mind. And this is so important. This is one of those things I don't understand why more people don't consider this. Is that when you're building your platform on social media, it's like building your house on land that somebody else's owns. Like, you can't just pick that up and go somewhere else. So think about this. If you want to switch from Twitter to Instagram, you can't just download all your followers and take them over and find them on Instagram or vice versa. Also, they can kick you off the platform. I've seen it done so many times where people get kicked off these platforms, sometimes for good reasons, a whole lot of times not for good reasons, but you can't really do anything. There's not like a 1-800 number you can call for Instagram to get your account back once they've kicked you off. And so if you work really hard and build your platform on one of these social media platforms that already gets like almost no engagement, they can kick you off and you can't move. You're locked into them, okay? Where an email list, if you don't like whatever you're using, whatever platform you're using, you can just download all the email addresses and go somewhere else. If you absolutely had to, I would never say you should do this. You could just email them one at a time because you have their direct contact information, which is not what you have when you are building your platform on social media. So that's the one tool that you should be building. This is by far the most important thing you can do to build your platform as an author and have a really good likelihood to, again, not just sell your current book, but sell your past books and all your future books as well. In fact, I would say if I put in one bucket your website, your blog, your podcast, all of your social media, that's in one bucket. And then the other bucket, I put your email list. And then I had to choose which one I would take the bucket with just your email list. And again, I know this because I have helped sell hundreds of thousands of books. And by far, 90+% of those books are sold through, the email list. So you need to start an email list. Now, there's lots of different places to do this, but I have one that I highly recommend, and it's kit.com. Now, the reason I recommend them, one is that's who I use. That's my favorite email platform. The other is it's built specifically for creators. And so they're not trying to get businesses that like sell t-shirts or, sell Bitcoin or something. They're specifically focused on creators. And the owner of the company is dedicated to helping creators. So I highly recommend you sign up for kit.com. I've got a link down in the description where you can click and link to that. But definitely sign up for kit.com and start building your email list. Now, once you've signed up for kit.com and you've set up your account, what do you do then? How do you figure out what emails to send and how do you get your first subscribers? Well, I've got good news for you. I wrote all of this down in a book and it's called Your First 1,000 Copies. You can get it on Amazon right now. You can get it at storygrid.com. And it is a book that has been selling and selling and selling for years and years and years. It's just become one of those perennial sellers. And so I highly recommend just go pick up a copy. It'll make both of our lives a lot easier. Your First 1,000 Copies is the title of the book. But of course, in order to have a book that sells and then keeps selling, you need to write a great book. And that's actually what my day job is now. I'm the CEO of StoryGrid, where we help authors build the skills, write a book, and leave a legacy. And where we start with writers is at the scene, because if you can't write a scene that keeps readers engaged in turning pages, well, they're never going to get through your entire book. So I've got a great gift for you. If you go to storygrid.com/checklist, you will get our checklist that we use here at StoryGrid in our workshops and our mentorship program to help writers understand what makes a great scene. It's a 13-point checklist. It's the one we use here at StoryGrid. You can get it for absolutely free right now by going to storygrid.com/checklist. So make sure you download that and work on your writing alongside of your book marketing. Now, if you want to take your book marketing knowledge and keep on learning, I've got another video for you. It's up on the screen right now. So click that and keep your education going. But either way, thanks so much for being a writer. Thanks for being a part of our community here at StoryGrid. I'll see you next time.